Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne Williams with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I just wanted to show you guys how I do my wig for my Capricorn costume, but this is information that you could use for whatever wig that you're styling for whatever purposes, whether it's daily wear or a cosplay or what have you. Here I have the wig that I'll pop up on the screen, showing how I added like 3 sets of wefts to add in some different color. It started out, I'll have links down below of what wig it was from Arda Wigs starting out, as well as the weft colors that I used, but it has both silky and classic wefts in it from Arda Wigs, and they're both heat tolerant, just not up very high. Can't remember directly off the top of my head, but I don't think the silky wefts are heat tolerant to over 350, but I've been using my straightener set down to 310. Be very, very careful that you're not melting your fibers. You can also straighten it. I was using a steamer because, like, boiling water, 212 degrees, we've got this. But I'm just combing through, and even though I know that they are heat resistant fibers, I'm moving pretty quickly. You don't want to just place your iron and hold it in the same spot the whole time. But sorry for my squeaky chair. But this is just removing a lot of the frizziness. You can see I had experimented with some styling and different things on this wig just to get a feel for it before diving in and doing the final design. And I'm coming through. It's always wise to start at the tips of your wig, tips of your hair, and kind of comb the fibers out. I have a very thick comb for whenever it's real boogery, but then I also use my thick, and very rarely will I use the thinnest toothed part of the comb. But I'm just kind of cycling through. You can see up here, maybe, I actually have it tied back, and then I'm pinning back sections, and I started at the front of the hairline, and then I've been working my way back. That's not real important, but you can do it however you like. And now I'm finally on this back section that I'm just dividing out segments. If it gets all bunched up like that, I just kind of stick my finger in, because it's easier to pull out small sections than it is to do it all at once. Let me raise this up just a little bit more. I have this wig on a microphone stand. Again, there'll be links to everything that I'm using, all the tools and materials down below. And so I'm just going to start at the tips of my wig with a wide toothed comb and come up just about an inch or two higher each stroke as I get all of those knots out. Moving down to my smaller comb. You can see down here the curls didn't really take, so I don't have as much to straighten out. But I'm still doing it just to get everything nice and consistent. And so I'm going to continue doing this the rest of the way through this wig. You can actually, I don't know if you can hear those little knots getting pulled out. But be sure, I can't reiterate this enough, be sure to know the heat resistance of the wig that you're working with. Natural hair, perfectly heat resistant most of the time. Always double check me. I'm not I only do this for a living. I'm not actually like a professional. I just fake it till I make it. So always double check the information, do your research, know your materials that you're working with as well as you can know them before actually working with them. But some of the synthetic, like if it's like a wig from Walmart from the Halloween section, probably not going to hold up to any kind of heat tools. And also, you can always experiment a little bit too, like if you're going to be trimming or styling it, test it on the tips or something if it's a part that you're just going to be cutting off anyhow, because then it doesn't matter as much. You know, if you're just trimming it off, and nothing like experimentation to educate you one way or the other. So this one I'm actually going to come through and straighten it first. just to see what happens, just to see how, if it comes out any different or if it's any easier. There we go. It actually is a little easier, I guess, to comb it out after straightening. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to do this the rest of the way around, and then I'm going to meet you guys back here to start styling it. Okay, so here you can see I'm just kind of combing off the front section of the, not just the lace front, but a little bit beyond that too. Like I came about, pretend like my hair is the wig line, and I came back and then I'm just putting it together into a simple braid to kind of keep it contained into one spot. That way, I don't know, I want to keep these layers kind of separate from each other. And then I came back further still, like another layer back, because knowing how the headdress was going to be, I knew I was going to need another segment at the very tip top of my head. So again, sectioned that off, braided it up, and then I split the remainder of what was on the back of the head into two sections as well. Relatively equal sections, we're trying to. And again, just braiding it up best as I can. And then just kind of combing out, because these wigs retangle so quickly, and I'm using like 1-inch little rollers, like they're like Velcro-y. If I could have my way, I would have gone with 1-inch foam rollers, because the Velcro, ooh, it's a pain. But it's what I have, so it's what I'm using. And but I have all different sizes of them too, but the kind of the largest I use in this one are like 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches. And I just comb it out straight, start at the end, and then start just rolling it up, as you can see here. And then I use these very long, they're like 3-inch long corsage pins from like the wedding section of Hobby Lobby. Like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure all the tools and materials that I'm using will be listed down below. But just any old long sewing pin would work. And it's great because it holds those curlers in place, because that's I didn't want to use a clip that might leave like a little dimple or crimp in the curl, whereas the straight pin just right through everything and settles into the cork wig block. And then I just continued doing that. I started at one side and kind of sectioned off pretty randomly. I didn't want an obvious grid work of curls. And then I'm using a clothes steamer. It has like a reservoir and then a long hose and then the steam head, and I steamed it probably for about 10 minutes, and then I let it cool completely, which is very important because it's not the heating so much as the cooling that gets the curls to set. And you can see here the trouble that I have with getting these Velcro curlers to not tangle into each other, but man, the bounce on those, those curls is phenomenal. Like, I can just play with them all day. It's just bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Okay, we'll get back to it now. And so, but also the curls are a little bit frizzier than I wanted them to be. So I'm just going through with, like, I don't even know whose hairspray it was. I think it's been in the house longer than I've lived here. But just going through with any old hairspray and just stripping it, like spraying it on, slicking it down, and then trying to reform the curl a little bit. Not quite doing a gel curl, but trying to get those hairs to cling together a little bit more. The reason I added so much extra hair, so many wefts to this wig, was so that I could have very defined curls, but it would still have the volume. I wouldn't have to fluff them or tease them or anything. And then some of them also, if I felt like it wasn't quite curly enough, I would come through with my straightener. This straightener won't go any lower than 310, but that seemed to work just fine. And it gives me a little bit of a different curl effect than using a curler, like just a steamed curl and then blowing on it to help cool it down. I don't know if that actually helped at all. And the rubber glove that I'm wearing is just because I don't like the way that hairspray feels whenever it's building up on my hand. And then also I'm less likely to stick my hand in my mouth if I have a glove on. And I really don't like the way hairspray tastes. So again, just boinging those curls. If you're not having fun, then what's the point? But yeah, I've just gone through, and then I'm actually using a wig cap. A wig cap is a scrunchie, probably not good etiquette, but I keep losing all my hair ties and scrunchies to get the first layer of curls out of the way. And then I'm just undoing that second braid up, and I'm going to curl that entire segment as well. Sorry, you can see me here. I'm just talking with Randy. Like, I knew whenever I was recording that I had planned on doing a voiceover. I'm going through, I keep recombing everything. Also, shout out to Randy here. You can see him in frame. He's refilling the reservoir of my steamer for me. He helps so much in everything that I do. Yeah, I couldn't do it without him. He's so helpful. But yeah, thank goodness for the magic of editing. This took me like 2 days to do this whole wig. But yeah, just putting in the curlers, putting in the pins, and then steaming the heck out of it. And this is why I got the curls I had already done out of the way, is because I knew that reheating them would make them limper, which if your curls are way too springy and you want them to like loosen up a bit, go ahead and steam it. Now this one, it was pretty late whenever I got the prior footage, but so I waited until the next day for it to cool completely. And this is me coming through, just removing one curler at a time this time, and then kind of reforming it around. Again, I don't know how different it would be with the foam rollers if I were able to get my hands on some, but these Velcro rollers really made me feel like the tips were very kind of frizzed a little bit. I didn't much care for that. But yeah, and it was more time consuming than anything, but very kind of soothing, repetitive work. I think Randy had like some stand-up comedian going on YouTube. Now I've skipped the braided section and moved directly to the tip top, like the crown of the head, and I've started brushing all of that hair very straight up because I knew I wanted like a ton of volume and I wasn't completely certain how I was going to accomplish it. So what I'm doing here now is I'm getting off just a little bit from like a halo around the segment that I'm going to be volumizing, and then I used a curler. Actually, you can see here I'm kind of twisting the hair around my finger and then folded it in half to give it a more like substantial tip, and then just fed it through a curler because I figure, I mean, it clings into the hair so well. And then I just slid it down to the very base, and I did worry that if I pulled too tight it might distort the way that the wig sits, sorry, words are hard. But it ended up being just fine. And now I'm taking that same halo I had brought down and bringing it up around the curler. And this is where the curler, being kind of pokey, snaggy, comes in handy, because now it's holding on to, there's Lauren, I love Lauren, and Asmith and Sam and Z, everybody. It was such a fun, bustling household while doing this project. But that curler would cling to the hair that I bring up around it. And then, again, just trying to get it just as straight and everything as I can, using a hair tie, like just a little rubber band, but I know that those don't have the longest durability. I actually still have a welt from where one popped and got me in the lip, and it hurt so bad. So I'm going through, and I'm going to show you here in a sec, with a zip tie. Just a 4-inch cable tie, and I am zip tying the crap out of that because I really want it to hold up. And of course my hands are in the way and a bunch of happy doggos in the background. But yeah, so I got that zip tied just nice and tight, and now here I'm testing the headdress with Randy's assistance again, to make sure that kind of the shape, the height, that I didn't want it sitting too far forward or too far back, and it seemed to be working out pretty well. So now I'm going to come through and I'm just touching up a few more of those curls, because some of them kind of get separated out weird. Like, I don't know, curls are devilish little beasties. Like, you can't just do it and be done. Like, they keep changing and snagging and splitting and fuzzing and frizzing and just, so to avoid having to mess around with it, I just took some 3mm Silly-Winx foam that we were making like patterns and stuff out of, and using those same pins, pinned it to separate the two levels. I had gone ahead and removed the headdress, but this way I'm able to braid and stuff without tangling up or getting cross-contaminating my curled hair with my non-curled hair. And the idea here, I kind of wanted to do a little bit like Daenerys Targaryen braids. So I've got like one on the left side of the head and then one on the right side of the head, trying to kind of braid them down to the same length, or at least very similar length. Turn in the headdress so you can see what's going on. But yeah, and this is just a simple 3-plate braid. And then I use, again, more of those clear rubber bands to, or clear hair ties to bind them off. And also, you can see that wave in the hair was from where I had it folded over and the steam affected it. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Now from here, I'm actually starting a little bit of a French braid. I have the left and right braids established. I'm working on the center and I'm trying to add in a little section from each side. But I'm also bringing it, normally I braid with the plaits coming onto the top, but if you braid with the plaits coming from below, it gives you a very different effect. Like it gives like a raised braid effect. And I really like that. And so I'm just kind of adding in a little bit each as I come down, like a little bit from each side into the segments. And then, again, that foam there made all the difference in the world, you guys. I'm not even kidding. It was so difficult to try to keep the curls out of my braids, because the more you mess with the curls, the more they frizz up. So I braided down, and then about the same distance down, I went ahead and put another hair tie in. Now here I've removed the hair tie from the left braid and braided it just a little bit further because I didn't want it to loosen and lose that braid look. So I'm braiding it down further on the left, and then I'm going to braid it down a little bit further on the right as well. And now I'm having my left braid in this hand, my right braid in my right hand, and I'm splitting that center braid, all 3 plaits of it, in half. And you can kind of see there a little bit what's going on. And now from there, I'm starting a 4-plate braid, which is like a fishbone or a herringbone, as some folks call it. And of course, my shoulder's getting in the way because I'm only, you know, trying to make videos here. Like, come on, Pastavon, get your life together. But in all seriousness, I'm sorry that I don't take better quality videos. But you can kind of see, I'm just crossing it and then adding in and crossing and adding and crossing, and it just kind of always bringing from the outside into the center alternately. And then you can kind of like do the hair thing where you like pull on it and it makes it, words are so hard, trimming down the tip a little bit to get just a little bit of shaping. You could use some thinning shears, but I wasn't horribly worried about it. So I was just like, shape it up. A little bit more hairspray, keep all those flyaways slicked down. Because the last thing I want is something that makes me look like, you know, oh, there's a cat eating my dinner. Great. Making it look like I'm like frizzed. And then with the removal of the foam, you can really see there the nice different kind of layering. Now, there are a couple of little bald spots where you can see the wefts. I had made some little flower hairpins to kind of stick down in there. That way, it would lend itself around the design, but it would also cover up those bald spots. And so now I'm using that same piece of foam to cover up the work I had just done, because I'm going to be curling now that top part. And with this one, there wasn't as much space to kind of pin the rollers on. Like, there wasn't any substance. I could have used like a piece of foam or something, but I needed it to be like squishy downy for the squishy downy technical terminology. I needed the head just to be able to sit secure over it, so I needed no volume there, just the hair tie. So some of them or just the hair curler. So some of them I was able to pin, but most of them I just kind of precariously perched and was like, hope you stay there. And then once I got all the little sections sectioned off with no rhyme or reason, I just started steaming the heck out of it. And I find that on my wigs, the crown is the hardest part to steam. So actually I have my wig on a microphone stand and I like tilted it over all rock star style. And then I just put a bag over her head, and over the steamer's head too. You can see there the stand that the steamer is on. And that helped so much by capturing the heat and kind of trapping it there. And I felt like that went by much faster, but it will burn you. That is scalding steam. And it also condenses in the bag, so it's like hot water just everywhere. But fortunately it cooled pretty quickly. But yeah, and then I let it cool. I think, was this still the same day? I don't know where I was. This might have been on the third day. I took the curlers out and started more of the same, that hairspray. This one though, I did go ahead and separate out a lot of the curls just to try to get it very voluminous, you know. I didn't want to brush it out because I had done that on the first time I had styled this wig, and it made it like way too much, way bad. Like, I didn't like it at all. So I'm leaving them individual little curlets, but I did want some of the larger ones broken down into smaller curls, and you can see they just come out so frizzy sometimes. And this was before I had made the investment in a heat-proof glove, which I think will be coming up on that here in just a minute, because I was like, I had tried using like a foil covered curler to like kind of hold, but it just, everything got so hot from the steam or from the curling iron, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna need a heat resistant glove. Oven mitts don't work. Like, they're so clumsy. Which again probably sounds pretty obvious to y'all, but it was not to Pastebon. So a heat resistant glove is pretty affordable though to invest in. And so that's kind of basically it for here back. Again, I'm just styling and primping, and like, I really wanted to brainstorm a little bit about it. And I was like, how am I going to feed these curls through in a way that's not going to completely frizz them? And so I think I actually fed them through the first time into the crown and was like, oh god, these are so frizzy now. So with it, while I had the headdress on there, I went ahead and sectioned off. I wanted just a very thin fringe, like very minimal fringe for around the face to help kind of hide the lace front of the wig cap, because even with a lace front, it's still pretty obvious. And I look really pink, way pinker than I want to be in a blonde wig. So I'm coming through with just some Sharpies, and not on the underside where the hair would be like touching my face, but on the top side of it, I'm just coming through, and you can see just kind of marking that on there and then pulling down. That way it's not like just choppy little, I'm trying to like blend it out. And then I'm taking just a very thin layer. Still, all of this is happening on the lace section of the lace front wig. Just taking a little bit of that blonde to bring it down and help diffuse that marker color that I've added. And through all the times that I've worn this wig since styling it, I haven't had any problems with Sharpie coming off on my face, but I'm sure it would be very different if I had like completely covered the hairs, like the hair fibers, with the Sharpie. And so now braiding time, so I'm covering up that fringe that I want for later with that same piece of foam. just to keep everything, you know, kind of separated out, because with the idea with this is that this braid up in the front would help stabilize the headdress even more, and like kind of give something to keep it from moving forward. And that seemed to work out pretty well. Like, honestly, like in hindsight, I'm very glad I did it that way, because it gave me like these layers. You couldn't see the clunky bottom part where it joined together, and you can see I gather all that up and then pull the headdress off. Now the way that I store this, I store my entire wig in a section of pantyhose. I put one section of nylon pantyhose over the top knot, kind of, for lack of a better term, and then I kind of gently try to put the rest of the wig into like the rest of the portion of the pantyhose. And I'd established the braid where the part was going to be, and then I started the thinner of the two braids coming off to the side, just French braiding, and on this side I added from the front and the back, and then just braided it down the rest of the way whenever I reached the limit of the hair I had allotted myself, and then just brushing any kind of knots and little boogers off the tips. And boogers are where it's like the little hairs, like the knots get like bunched up. It's like sometimes I just cut them out. yeah, so I ended up measuring and it was way too far over this way, so I brought it back up a little bit. I love doing that little where you just tug on it and it makes the braid wider and flatter and a little, not necessarily looser, but like a very different effect. Now coming through and braiding on this other side, I'm only adding from the front. That way you still get that nice French braid texture to where you can see each of the sections coming up in. But I wanted it to be able to be like undercut on the back side, again, for that wig to be able to house the headdress a little bit better. And again, just once I got to the limit of my hair, I just regular braided it the rest of the way down. Used some of those pins to hold them in place for a little while longer. And again, doing that little, I start down by the hair tie and then work my way up, opening up and kind of expanding that little braid. Now here you can see I'm using a hair net, like a wig cap, to cover up all the curls because I was like, they can't take too much of more of this abuse. And then Randy to my rescue again. And just having an extra set of helping hands, but being able to just grab that wig cap and just pull, I was able to be much more, not violent, but way less careful about pulling the curls through. And then you just pull it off and it's like black curls. And so now on each side, kind of right in front of where my ear would have been, I'm doing a 4-plait braid down both sides. Again, just something to add more layers of texture. And also for the staff that goes with this costume, I have that style of braid happening quite a bit in there. And so I wanted repeated motifs from one part of the costume into another. And that way, I don't know, it makes it seem more cohesive, I think, from a design perspective. So I did that on one side and then I turn it and just do the same thing on the other side. There is my new heat-proof glove that I am so glad I have. I need another one because I have 2 hands. But yeah, you can see I could just hold it. Like if I press super hard, you'll get contact from your skin through the fibers of the heat glove, but it made all the difference in the world, you guys. So I heat it up pretty well, you know, heat up the hair fibers, and then kind of just slide the curling iron. And I had the curling iron set to like 300. And then I found to hold it with a pin, because you can see how some of them are very loose. And now you'll see whenever I take the pins out, whenever it like cools completely being curled like that, the difference between kind of loose waves and tight curls. And I wanted tight curls, like that's just my style. So, but 2 different ways that you can get different effects with the same tools. And now I'm using just these. They're not ball tipped, they're just hairpins. They're not bobby pins. It's just like whoop, and with a unit whoop, like just like that. And using that to kind of tuck some of those curls up and out of the way of my face. In this also, I'm hooking it, whenever I applied this on, I would be hooking it in underneath my prep braids, which I'm not going to say that it's up here on the screen, but it should at least be down in the video description, the tutorial for how I did my wig prep for underneath this wig, which in a nutshell, French braids, and then 1 big French braid down the back. But yeah, super tight. It was, and those pins would hook underneath that, and again, help keep everything very stable. And then I did also spirit gum the lace front to my head to kind of keep everything that way. But yeah, and because I didn't want to cut the hair and then be like, oh no, I cut the hair. Like, and so by pinning it, I was able to disguise the wefts and different things a little bit more. And also it gives me, as my face changes, either by the way it's painted or the way I glue the wig on, like it gives me so much more versatility, I feel like, by not having a very established way that the bangs are cut and styled. With this, they're just curls. I could straighten them and have a day where it's like straight, you know. I really liked being able to keep it fluid, you know, make it to where it's not set one way or the other. And that is how I styled my wig, you guys. This was actually my first time, first wig, second time styling it, and I am so pleased with how it came out. There's a peek of the back, just with those braids and stuff. And then this was Randy and I at VisionCon, where we had a really good time, and I wore that that whole get up from like 2 p.m. until almost 10 that night. So it held up pretty well. And I'm gonna be wearing it at the time of recording. I'm gonna be wearing it like next week in a photo shoot. So I was very pleased. Hopefully I'll be able to get better pictures of it for you guys. So on that note, if you would like to see those pictures, please check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon. Links to all of which are going to be down below. Now, also, I do mention Patreon because you don't have to be a pledger to see things that I post. There is just a follow option. You do get more behind the scenes and exclusive and early access content by becoming a pledger, and you also get like entries into my weekly giveaways. If you pledge $1, it gets you 1 entry into our giveaways. If you pledge $5, it gets you 5 entries into our giveaways. And then if you pledge $10, you get early access content and behind the scenes pictures and digital download content, and like I upload videos that are extended like uncut versions for my patrons exclusively, and that's the $10 and up. And then if you pledge $20 or more, you get craft crates mailed to you every month, and the more you pledge, the more you get in your crate. So sorry, that's just my little please help fund us, because these videos, these daily tutorials that I've been doing for almost 2 years now, are made possible by viewers like you, by people who just hang out and comment and like and share and have subscribed, and also by our very generous patrons. They keep the lights on, they keep the computers up to date, they do y'all make a huge difference in us being able to do this for a living and to keep these videos coming, and hopefully keep learning and increasing the quality of video and the quality of what we do. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see y'all. Oh yeah, questions and comments, please leave them down below. I do love to hear from you guys. Y'all inspire me so much with the questions and stuff that you ask. Like, there really is no like question that's too simplistic or even too off topic, though that's not a challenge. I do like whatever is pertinent to like crafty things or gardening or something, but yeah, just leave me a comment down below, guys. I'd love to hear from you. So on that note, I'll see y'all in my next video. Happy crafting, and I'll see y'all around. Bye.